Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be going over the top 5 books on chaos magic. And to start off, just a little bit about chaos magic. It's a philosophy and a practice that was developed by Peter J. Carroll in the 1980s. And it basically, the idea behind it is that you can affect the outcome of your reality by kind of bypassing the conscious mind with stuff like symbols and other things like that. And the main practice in chaos magic is sigil magic, and sigils are pretty much images that you create based on an intent. There's a lot of videos and guides online on how to craft sigils and go about through that process. But today we want to talk about the books that pretty much started the movement. So we'll begin with number 1, which is called Liber Null and Psychonaut, an Introduction to Chaos Magic. And this book's actually 2 books in one. It was written by Peter J. Carroll, the guy who pretty much started it all. And it basically is the foundational book behind chaos magic. It says it's an introduction to chaos magic. It's a manual comprising the theory and practice of magic, aimed at those seeking to perform group magic or who work as shamanic priests to the community, is what the description for the book says. Basically, though, it outlines his philosophy on why it works and then shows you pretty much how to do it. So that's number 1, and you can get that on Amazon. Number 2 is also by Peter J. Carroll. This one's called Liber Chaos, and the description says it's a complete advanced magical training course for the individual or for groups, with details of Peter's magical order, an outline for setting up a temple, and instructions for carrying out the essential rituals of chaos magic. It says that it includes a fresh look at ionics, cosmogenesis, auric magic, and shadow time, as well as discloses the technical aspects of spells and equations. This book is definitely more in-depth than the previous book, and if you already know basically the fundamentals of everything, then you may want to just start with this book. This book was also written by Peter J. Carroll in the 1980s. And people say that they like it, but that it's very, very detail-oriented, and a lot of mathematical equations are in it and stuff like that. So it's definitely not a beginner's book. Moving on to number 3 is Condensed Chaos. This book is not by Peter Carroll, and it's by his contemporary Phil Hine. And Phil Hine was pretty good friends, though, with Peter Carroll. And Peter Carroll even wrote the foreword for this book. This book's another introductory book. It says it's a practical introduction to chaos magic, and through it you can change your circumstances, live according to a developing sense of personal responsibility, affect change around you, and stop living as a helpless cog in some clockwork universe. All acts of personal/collective liberation are magical acts. Magic leads us to exhilaration and ecstasy, into insight and understanding, into changing ourselves and the world in which we participate. Through magic, we may come to explore the possibilities of freedom. So that's basically the gist of that book. It's definitely a more beginner-friendly book than the Liber Chaos book. Number 4 is the Apophenion, and this book kind of expands on the philosophies behind Peter Carroll's original books in Liber Null and Psychonaut, and it was also written by Peter J. Carroll too, and its description says that it attacks most of the great questions of being, free will, consciousness, meaning, the nature of mind, and humanity's place in the cosmos from a magical perspective. So, as you can tell already, this is more of a philosophical book, maybe not as practical or theoretical than the others, but It basically rehashes the age-old questions of philosophy, but in a magical perspective. It says that some of the conclusions seem to challenge many of the deeply held assumptions that our culture has taught us, so brace yourself for the paradigm crash, and look for the jewels revealed in the wreckage. This book contains something to offend everyone. Enough science to upset the magicians, enough magic to upset the scientists, and enough blasphemy to upset most transcendentalists. So this book's definitely a bit more out there than the other books, and not nearly as mathematical or scientific as maybe the Liber Chaos book, and probably not for the beginner either. And then the last book on my list is Cyber Magick, Advanced Ideas in Chaos Magic. This book is, of course, also written by Peter J. Carroll, and the description says that it's a witty, iconoclastic commentary on magic and modern occult subculture by one of the founders of Chaos Magic. Cyber Magick contains astonishing, controversial, and revolutionary ideas on the theory and practice of magic, the structure of the universe, and the nature of the mind. It holds many surprises as it challenges many of the conventional assumptions and paradigms of magic. Filled with practical techniques, Cyber Magick will give you the means to undo the fallacy of being and reach sideways in imaginary time to accomplish magic. Done in the style of Aleister Crowley's Book of Lies and humorously illustrated, this book is a must for all chaosists and Western magicians. Sorry about that. So this book is definitely not as mathematical as Liber Chaos, but it's not as philosophical as the Apophenion. It's somewhere in the middle, but it's definitely for advanced practitioners, and it definitely has a lot of techniques, and I think this is the book where hypersigils were first conceived of, which is a very advanced technique in sigil magic. So I hope you liked this top 5 Chaos Magic books list, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. All the links to the books on Amazon are in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and have a good one.